sex ain't gonna hold it up. Like, no matter how good it is, sex ain't gonna hold it up. Like, welcome to another edition of the Wedex Book Club.
I won't give you my love, yo. I don't need silver or gold. I go follow you, go.
Welcome back to another edition of the Wedex Book Club. This is Tara from Wedex Bridals. And we are just gonna be reviewing the 5th book of the Wedex Book Club, which was The Wait by Meagan Good and DeVon Franklin. I hope you guys have finished reading this book and you found it useful, especially if this was something you were thinking about. Let me not just assume you know what it's about. So The Wait is about basically waiting to have sex after being married. So that's really the basis of the book. And I know there's some people out there that's something they're thinking about, whether there's just something they want to do or something to do to be obedient to God. Everyone will have their reason for why they want to do it. And I think whether you are doing it for a religious reason or you are doing it for a personal reason, I think it is definitely something to practice. Definitely something to practice. And that was one of the reasons why I love this book, because it kind of made you realize that it's not just about waiting to have sex, but that period is more about discipline, and it's something that will spread into all areas of your life. So not just, oh, you know, I'm just waiting to, yeah, no sex till marriage, da da da, and you're just rushing through things. But it just reminds you that there's so many other aspects, and in a society nowadays where sex is such a big thing and it's made to be the biggest reason why people leave their home, and I don't believe that to be so. I wish I actually checked my statistics just so I could give that to you. That's why people are leaving their home, or people decide to go and cheat outside because they're not getting it at home and stuff like that. Yeah, it might be a big thing of your relationship, but there might be situations where you're not going to be able to have any sex for some months, and you want to be able to know that your spouse is going to be able to manage that, you know. I have had comments like on TV and in little things, like I remember watching something and the lady was like, oh, she had to have an operation and, you know, she couldn't have sex with her husband for about 3 months, and she's so happy that her husband didn't go elsewhere to look for it. And I just thought, not in a rude way, but I would expect him not to go anywhere else to look for it, and if he was, there's a problem, because our relationship is much more than that, I would hope, especially if we're married, you know. So I think you need to give yourself time to look at other areas of your life. So yeah, that's just me getting into what I learned and what I was liking about the book, and why I would encourage other people to actually consider the wait, to actually consider that period of time not to have sex with someone. Yeah, I do think it's not great to have sex with a person as soon as you meet them. If that's your choice, yeah, I think there's just so much more attached to it than that, and the book goes into that, and, you know, goes into different things, like just consequences of having sex before really making that commitment to someone, because that's really what it's all about. You know, marriage is a big commitment, and I believe once you are taking that commitment, you are taking a commitment for life, you know. And if you look at it in that point of view, there's a lot of things you should learn about that person, and sex should not be the main and only thing. Like, if you want to look at it, there's some aspects of a relationship that can be taught, and there's some aspects that just can't be. Like, yeah, they just can't be. Like, you can't teach them. Like, no matter what, you're not going to be able to teach them, you're not going to be able to change their views on it, you know. And then there's some areas, and I do think sex is one of those areas which, come on, like, if you're having issues, like, y'all can work it out. Like, you guys can find ways to work it out. Like, there will be a way. So it doesn't have to be the biggest deal. And yeah, and so there's just little things that they pulled out from the book, and why they did that, or how it helped them on their journey. I also love that it was from both of their point of views, because it's good to see it from a man's point of view, because I do think it's true that when you do think about this, you kind of do think about the woman only and not men as much. But it's good to know that there are men out there. I did believe there are men out there, because I do know we have Christian brothers that I believe are waiting, but I could be wrong. But, you know, so I do believe that there are men out there. But it is just nice to hear it from a man's point of view, because that is something I haven't really had the privilege of hearing so much, or not even the privilege, but I haven't really asked, like when I think about it, it's not something that I've ever asked the guy, like, oh okay, like I've heard a point of view from like when they're just like maybe waiting because there's no one in the picture or whatever, but not in the sense that they're in a relationship and they're actually saying, you know what, I want to wait till marriage. I've never really asked the ins and outs of it. And you know, sometimes being a Christian is kind of an expectation, even though that's now changing, but it's kind of an expectation, so there's some things you don't ask. So it was just nice to have that two-sided view. So you've got her view and you've got his view, and basically what they're saying and what they were going through and what they were thinking and how they were both handling their emotions and their feelings on their journey to get married. So that was really great. But I'm just going to share with you some other things that I learned and I liked from the book that I would hope would encourage someone to pick it up and take another read of it. If you haven't finished it already, like just continue to read through it. And just, yeah, some points it picked out. So one of the points I did like that it picked out, it was like, you should sit back and actually think, like, if this is definitely something you're considering, and even if it's not, like, it is a good thing for you to step back and think about, why are we not having sex? Like, why is sex so important to me in a relationship? Like, why is it so important? And just think about your whole relationship, and you'll probably so let me just repeat, because I did write it down. So it says, if you look at the reasons sex is important to you, you'll probably find that they are less important than what you want in life. And I think that's a big key thing. So if you're looking for a lifelong relationship, especially, you're going to look at what are those things that are most important, and that might be on the list, but you might find that it's not on the top of the list. And I think if it is on the top of your list, you might need to question why. Like, why is that? And whatever's on the top of your list, like, you should go through it and actually question, why do you think that's so important to you in a lifelong commitment? Like a lifelong commitment. Why those things are so important, and you probably will realize that it's not the most important thing, and therefore you should, when you're in a relationship, you should be focusing on those things that are more important, you know. So that's just something to think about and actually consider, like, oh, true, really, like, what do I want out of a lifelong relationship, and what are those important factors? And if sex isn't on the top of the list, then, you know, focus on the things that are on the top of the list, and let those things, you know, you can deal with. So yeah, I thought that was a good thing. And it's talked about focusing on long term rather than short term, and so this covers the area of discipline as well, and just like goals and things you want. So as we said, like, you will think about the things that you want that are most important to you, and there's some things like that desire to have sex, that desire to probably just satisfy a feeling that's in you. It's probably quite a short-term feeling that can like pass, and trust me, the longer you go without it, the more easily that feeling passes. So you'll just be like, yeah, like, long term, is it, like, for my long term view, that bigger picture, is it worth me giving this up now? So we're like, the big reason why you want to not be having sex with this person is because you want to find the more important things, you want to find this about them, you want to find that about them, and you know that me doing that now will probably interfere with that, probably bring, and it usually does, once you start having sex in a relationship, it brings a load of other issues, a load of other obligations and things like that, that you know that if it was just not like that, you'd probably find it easier to cut that person off, find it easier to say no to things, find that you just feel less committed to that person, and you just think more clearly, like you're more sober. But once you start sleeping with the person, I think things quite change. So it's just having that in mind, and then thinking about your long-term goals rather than versus your short-term goals. And we know a lot of things when it comes to, like, if you're trying to lose weight and there's that piece of chocolate that you know really right now is going to satisfy that feeling of making me want that sweet thing that I want to eat, and it's going to satisfy that in the short term, but in the long term, that's not really working towards my goal. That's not really helping me towards my goal of losing weight. And sometimes we just have to really put things in perspectives. And if we always, you know, deal with our short-term gratifications, those just satisfying those short-term desires, you'll find that you're never going long range. You're never actually seeing anything right through, because you've just been too focused on the immediate, the now, without bearing in mind what that now decisions, those now decisions are having on your long-term future. So I think it's very important to think about, you know, because like it's true, like yeah, you could like have an abortion or something like that, but then even that could lead to another complication or something like that. You have sex with someone and you end up with a baby, you end up with some sort of disease because of the short-term goal, like, but that is now a long-term, not issue or problem, but yeah, a long-term change. Like sometimes you just gotta put things in perspective and actually think, you know what, it's true. Like if I'm not ready to commit to this person, is it worth it? Like, is it worth me giving myself up to this person again? So yeah, I just think it's good to think about that. And I've already touched on it, like sex clouds your decision making. I think one of the benefits is very true, and what it mentions in the book, that one of the benefits is when you're not having sex with a person, you will choose people whose character, intelligence and wit and love for God is what you find irresistible. It will just be so much more, like what you're looking for will probably be so much more than that, or how fine he is and stuff like that, or how fine she is, you know. So it's good to really think, how important is it for me to be having sex in my relationship in light of all these things? So yeah, if this is you, like think about it. If it's you, just think about some of your long-term goals, and if something happened in the short term because of a consequence of your short-term decision that can affect you long term, is it really worth it? Like, is it really worth it? And just being attached, I don't feel it's good to keep attaching yourself to different people, because you just, yeah, you end up carrying baggage if things aren't dealt with properly. You just end up carrying too much baggage, and unfortunately you carry that baggage into the next relationship and it weren't their fault. So yeah, like these are little things I think are just so important to think about. Some other points that I thought were quite interesting, and just to kind of help you along the journey if this is what you are going through, they talk about common triggers. So, and that just means they're referring to things that possibly could put you in a situation where you might mess up. And I believe, like, they had some, so they said like late nights, emotional trauma, intimate contact, alcohol, you know, those are just some things that they pointed out. And I think all of us know what ours are, because some of us are just like, it's just as simple, like, yeah, being in the room with someone. Like, it don't need to be nighttime. If you're just alone in the room with that person and you know that you're feeling them, like, that's it for you. Like, you're just weak. So you've got to be mindful of those things and try not to get yourself in that situation so that you don't mess up, like if this is what you're trying to do. And just be purposeful about that. Like, if that's your choice that you are making, be purposeful about that. And yeah, don't let it, because it might be as simple as something that you feel like, not simple, but something that is quite common. Like, you feel like if you're not going to sleep with him, he's going to end up sleeping with someone else. And quite frankly, you've got to realize that it's bigger than that. And if that's what they're doing, if that's the decision they make to do, it's not you. Like, it's actually not you, it's them that has the issue. It's them that needs to deal with some things, and you shouldn't take that upon yourself and, you know, change it. So yeah, so if you've got like certain mindsets that are affecting that, you know, that if you find yourself in this situation, then don't get into it. Like, I think one of my biggest things is I just didn't want to be I just didn't want to be with everyone, and I didn't want that obligation of a boyfriend, and oh, this is what comes with being in this relationship. I just never wanted that. Like, I just only wanted to be committed to my husband. Like, that was just me. Like, once I came to Christ, that was what I wanted. but that period in between did make me challenge that thought process a lot, because it was like, well, if you're not willing to get in a relationship, like how are you kind of expecting to find your husband? But lo and behold, I'm married, and no, we didn't date and get in a relationship. Like, we weren't boyfriend and girlfriend. Like, I think there's a lot of commitment that can happen in friendship that we overlook because we have this new realm of boyfriend and girlfriend. And I just, so that was my trigger, because I did feel like I would mess up if I was in that kind of relationship. So it was one reason why I would really home in more on friendship, because, you know, it's dealing with your mindset. Like, oh yeah, friendship is best, you don't sleep with your friends, and boyfriend and girlfriend, you sleep with them, innit? Like, so I help my mindset think correctly, and just don't find myself in that situation. So yeah, so that was me. That was things that helped me, because I was quite, otherwise I think I'd probably do things that would be other people's triggers, like chill and jam. Like, that was nothing to me. Like, yeah, because I was just like that, like whatever in it. I tend to get on with the opposite sex more. So for me, that's nothing. But for some other girls, I have a friend that was her thing. She was like, nah, not me, but she can't even be alone. Like, there will just be issues and da da da. And you're just like, oh wow, like, oh okay, some people are struggling like that. So you've got to know yourself and deal with it, and just don't be ashamed to deal with it. Like, yeah, don't be ashamed to be like, you know, this is my trigger. He just has to have a bald head. Like, if that's your trigger, bruv, don't find yourself in that issue. Like, don't find yourself in that situation. If he's checking for you, make sure you're in public all the time, innit? Because you ain't gonna do nothing there. So it's just things to think about. So that was things to help you along your journey. And just something just to leave you with is just about the communications, and it talks about patience, forbearance, kindness, understanding and frank communication go a long way to easing tension between women. Practice that aspect of the way with each other, and that's important. I think a long-term view is marriage, and looking at marriage for life, and understanding that sex ain't gonna hold it up. Like, no matter how good it is, sex ain't gonna hold it up. Like, it's just real, it's not. There's gonna be other factors. There's just going to be other issues. There's children are going to come into the picture, like different situations that you're both going to have to go through, that I don't believe sex is going to be the answer. Like, it just won't. So you want to learn how to deal with situations. Like, if you go through a hard situation, how both of you would know how to work with one another, you know, a character, different things, you know, of a person. Like, people are not easy to manage. Let me be real, people are not easy to manage. Having even just managing myself, like the way my mind's zooming around, like I don't know how you would just contain me in one place and give me the same thing. I'm changing, I'm evolving, and that's the other thing. When we grow and situations happen, it can change our mindsets, it can change how we view things. I could have viewed it this way before, but something happens, something triggers a change that it makes me see that, oh wow, like actually, although I always thought that, now I've seen this, I realize that it's not always like that, so I have to change my viewpoint. And those are things that we have to remember. Like, those are things that we have to remember, that marriage is long term. It's not this short term thing and you just think of the now and think the now will carry you through forever. No, like, there's things you should practice before you get into that state. There's things you should look for before you get to that stage, that you say, is this worth it? Are we going to be able to work together? And things like that. So that's what I'm going to leave with you with. I hope you have enjoyed reading the book and thinking about it. Question yourself, like, if this is you and you're thinking, you know what, I do want to know more, I am thinking about it, like, leave your questions below, and or just send a message and ask any questions that you're thinking about. And just know that you're not alone, and it's not as hard as you think, and it will benefit you in more ways than you realize. So it's not just no sex, girl, you're a Christian, no sex before marriage, or, you know, like, there's just so many aspects where this kind of behavior needs to be taken into other aspects of your life. Like, and I think that's the biggest one, discipline. Like, whatever you want to do in life, you're going to have to learn how to be disciplined. You are going to have to learn that. Whether you want to, whether you don't, you are going to have to learn how to be a disciplined individual. So why not start with your relationship, like your lifelong commitment? Why not start with that? And that goes out to the guys as well. So thanks again for watching. It's awesome having you once again, and I appreciate all the views. Spread the word, like, share, and keep on reading. So take care. Bye.